What is the number one drug that causes osteoporosis? It's prednisone. It's the 20th most commonly prescribed drug in America, and it's causing osteoporosis. I wish I'd known 3 myths about this, but even I as a pharmacist didn't know when I was prescribed it. So you can find out in this video more about what to know about prednisone causing osteoporosis. So for me, prednisone was a complete miracle. It allowed me to not bleed to death. It saved my life. But that miracle came at a cost. And that cost is 150 possible side effects. So let me tell you a story. What prednisone really does for us. So remember the movie, The Little Mermaid, Disney's Little Mermaid? It was my favorite video when I was a little girl. My 6th birthday party was the Little Mermaid theme. And in this video, there's Little Mermaid who is half fish, half human, and she falls in love with the fully human Prince Eric. He hears her singing, and that is what he loves about her. So Ariel wants to walk and be human, and so she makes a deal with Ursula the sea witch to let her walk, to give her legs. But Ursula has a secret that is the deal that Ariel is making with this devil. And it is, if you want those legs, you have to give away your voice. The voice Eric had fallen in love with, it was a big deal for her to give up that voice. Because how could she get him to fall in love with her with only the 3-day deadline if she didn't have the voice he had already fallen in love with? But she made the deal, she did it, and you'll have to watch the story to see how it ends. But prednisone is like that sea witch. In my case, it saved my life. It allowed me not to bleed to death. For other people, it could be their joints or their breathing isn't affected. But it comes at that cost of 150 possible side effects. And most of those side effects are irreversible, like moon face. It goes away eventually once the dose goes down low enough. But some of them are irreversible, like osteoporosis. The bone loss coming from prednisone is irreversible. So what can you do about it, right? What do you wish you'd known, or what did I wish I'd known when I was prescribed it? So when the doctor said, if you don't take this, you're probably going to die, it kind of changed my decision of, I think I'll take that drug, even though everything I'd learned in pharmacy school said stay far away from it. So I took it, and I knew about the osteoporosis, but in those first few weeks, I didn't really worry about it because I thought I was only going to be on it for 10 days. That's what they give me, a 10-day prescription for prednisone. Turns out that myth number 1 is the timing of prednisone causing osteoporosis. I thought that I didn't need to worry because I was only going to have short-term prednisone. But actually, the truth of the matter is that the bone loss from prednisone, the highest percentage bone loss, is actually in the first 3 months of treatment. It is the most dramatic percentage loss of all the time that you'd be on prednisone is in the first 3 months. And that was totally not what I was expecting. I thought, I'll start taking something to prevent it later on. I didn't realize that I needed that sooner than later. And if you've been on prednisone a long time, you might be thinking, I'm fine, it's okay. Like the biggest percentage bone loss has happened. I'm okay. No, it's a continual steady decline from there as well. So everybody on prednisone needs to be taking measures to prevent the further bone loss. So the second myth about prednisone was the type of osteoporosis consequences. Now, I thought that the most likely problem that I would have from prednisone causing osteoporosis was that it would break my hip, because that's the most dramatic and dangerous one that kind of sticks in your brain. And so therefore it must be the most common. That is a fallacy of the way our brains work, and it was wrong. The most common, and therefore the most likely consequence of prednisone causing osteoporosis is actually in the spine. Vertebral compression fractures is the medical term for the most common osteoporosis consequence. And it means that the spine just kind of compresses and squishes upon itself. You can't even feel it happening. And often the only way to find out that it has happened is to measure your height and see that you've lost a half inch or maybe even a full inch of height. I know my grandparents used to be as tall and strong looking as me, but as time went on, I grew taller and they grew shorter. It wasn't just me out, getting tall and getting much taller than them. It was also that they had osteoporosis. A lot of prednisone exposure in my family. And so it wasn't just that. It was that they were having the spinal compression fractures and shrinking in height, becoming hunched over and less flexible and less able to be tall and strong and, have a strong stride. So those vertebral compression fractures are actually the most common. And you might think, oh, that's okay. It's not a big deal. You just shrink. No, they can actually be very painful. People don't know how painful they really are. So that's the most common compression fracture is the most common. So then next myth that I want to cover is that there's only one way to prevent prednisone osteoporosis, and that is just false. So prednisone is a drug in a class called the steroids or glucocorticoids or corticosteroids. Those are all the same drug class, and they all mimic our body's natural hormone cortisol, which keeps us safe during famine or war, and it does so by stealing nutrients from our bones. It's as if we have a savings account for our rainy day. And when do you use it? When there's that horrible rainy day, right? So famine or war is that rainy day, and our bone is that account, and we're taking nutrients from it to survive, to cope with the inflammation of our situation. And so I thought the only thing that I needed to worry about was calcium and vitamin D. Well, I read the guideline written by the rheumatologists, the doctors who prescribe prednisone the most, and they said that anybody on 2.5 milligrams of prednisone or more needs to be supplementing with calcium and vitamin D. And they give a whole bunch of other things you can do to prevent that osteoporosis, and if you get it, to treat it. So it's a really fantastic guideline. But I went deeper and I found that it's not just the calcium and vitamin D, that it's other nutrients that we need, such as magnesium, vitamin K2, potassium, collagen, protein, the matrix that holds our bones together. All of these things are being depleted by the prednisone. And so you need to replenish them. You need to give them back. And I wish I'd had something that would help me, that was designed exactly for people on prednisone. So then one day when I was taking the prednisone, I had this epiphany. Oh my goodness, I need to create something like that so that other people don't have to suffer when they're taking the prednisone. So I invented Neu Nutranize Zone. It's the first and only supplement designed for people on prednisone. It's got those nutrients that you need, plus more to help with other side effects, like the moon face, feeling hangry and cranky, having a hard time sleeping. It's got ingredients in there that support you because you're taking prednisone. You can find it at nutranize.com, Nutranize. And it is designed exactly for the needs of people on prednisone. Go to nutranize.com and get some today. Signing off as Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.